All right. I think we're live, hopefully. Can everyone hear me okay? Happy New Year, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. And perfect. Awesome. Purest Rebellion, Deanna, Zeus, Angel, Deborah, Marique, Juno. So happy you're here. Sandra, Rosie, Yannicka, Julie, so good to see you again. I haven't seen you in a while. I hope you're doing well. I miss you. All right, so welcome to New Year's. What are we doing today? Readings, lecture, and esoteric banter. So I'm Terry. Happy you're here. So it's the new year. Let's start. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to do some readings first for all of you awesome early arrivers. We're going to do some New Year's readings. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give like a mini class on 2025, what it means, its relationship to the Hermit card. And we're going to go really deep. I'm going to share with you one of my favorite secrets, one of my favorite esoteric secrets of the tarot and how it can apply to us personally, because as you all know, as above, so below, our famous one-liner of Hermes Trismegistus, everything that happens macro happens micro, or so they say. So we're going to get into some really fun esoteric stuff. We're going to talk a little astrology, talk a little Kabbalah, and talk about how the Hermit can relate to us and how we can bring in the energy of the Hermit into 2025 to have more fun in this phantom show of time and space. And I'm kind of, my new special interest right now is physics. That's kind of my mini side hyperfixation. And the more you study physics, the more you realize, oh, wow, this really is a phantom show of time and space, because everything is constantly there's just more and more uncertainty the finer we go. And the Hermit, in a way, speaks to the finest levels of reality. When you're sitting up at the mountaintop of spiritual awareness and it's just you alone, one without second, your experience starts to point to the finest possible thing a human can begin to uncover about reality in that frozen cold blankness, which is so appropriate because it's snowing here. I'm in Philadelphia and we're getting like our first major snow of the winter, so very appropriate. So let's start with some readings, and then we'll get into some esoteric banter, and then we'll talk about some stuff. So let's do our thing. I invoke thee, Iao, that thou send Teru, the great angel, set upon the operations of the secret wisdom to lay his invisible hands upon these consecrated cards of art, that thereby we may obtain knowledge of hidden things. In your Nephil name, amen. All right, so who has a question? I studied physics, all intertwined. Oh, I love that. We'll have to chat very soon. Love to buy your book. Can't wait to read it. Oh, yay. Yeah, I have a book coming out, or it actually maybe have come out already. Tarot Mysticism. I'm asking that everybody that wants to get Tarot Mysticism to order today, but I'll tell you why a little bit later. But yeah, Tarot Mysticism is available now. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to do some readings, and I'd love for you guys to, if you have a question, put it in the chat. But this is a good time for specific questions. So, like, if anyone has like an aching inner question, whatever, you can put anything. I'm happy to read on any topic. Of course, it's for entertainment purposes only. But yeah. Work. Angelica wants to know about work. So you got 6 of discs, Angelica. 6 of discs is talking about promotion, new job, a better job, being at the right place at the right time, and being somebody that connects multiple systems, bodies, or things together. So it's an opportunity for leadership. It's I don't believe in luck, but it's a lucky time for you. It's an auspicious time. Keep your head up and know your value and be ready when the opportunity comes. Take it like 100 million%. Will I find new real friends in my life? Adjustment. Okay, so adjustment is telling you a couple things here. First of all, if there's no real friends in your life, you have to ask yourself, where am I not being real with myself? Adjustment is how the universe shows us what's happening internally in our nervous system, in our psyche, in our subconscious, because the adjustment doesn't bat an eye. The adjustment, the scales, justice, it's perfectly balanced. Whatever is going on in your inside is what's going on in your outside. Most people try to change what's happening in their life by changing what's on their outside, when they really have to start changing what's on their inside first, and then the outside will reflect that. Because no matter what the universe shows at you, if there's an insincerity within you, even if the universe gives you 100 real friends, your insincerity subconsciously will tell you, no, these are too real for me. I won't accept them, and you'll find unreal friends. Do you know what I mean? But I say this with love. We're all on this process, so it's not just you. We're all finding that adjustment. Because remember, kids, every tarot card is active all the time. Every tarot card is true and relevant to every human being. If you're alive, if you have a pulse, you have an aspect of every tarot card all the time. That's why tarot works. A lot of people are like, how does it work? Does it really work? Of course it works. It works because it's all relevant. It's all part of the human experience. It doesn't have to be this, superstitious thing that's so exotic and magical. It's just the human experience, which is, for me, magical enough in itself. Johnny, where do I need to improve my spiritual journey? This is a good question. And I'm going to give you two answers. I'm going to give you the true answer, and then I'm going to give you a less true answer. The true answer is it's impossible to improve your spiritual journey, because it is happening. Regardless of your say in it, it's already happening the way it is. So there's no way to improve it. But I'm going to give you an answer from the tarot that, not as true, but maybe can help. 10 of Wands, Lord of Oppression, is carrying on the weight of other people's stuff. But here's the thing: I'm seeing you carry the weight of other people's stuff, and it's not getting resolved. So you're kind of stuck with this uncertainty about other people's choices, decisions, responsibilities. And it's a little bit of an empath thing, but it's a little bit of I'm stuck because my partner's stuck. I'm stuck because my family's stuck. My best friend's stuck. My coworker's stuck. And it doesn't have to be that way. So unstick yourself. And the best way to do that is to ask the question, what else is possible here? How can I contribute to myself? How can I contribute to them? And just see what arises. Don't answer the question from the mind. See what arises energetically from that. Alyssa, finances. Ooh, yes. Y'all know I'm a Capricorn. I love a finance question. Okay, lust. This is a good one. Okay, lust for finances. This is a card of investing, like time and or money, in something that you love to do without expectation of the result. This is not advice I'd give a lot of people all the time, because you want to have your finances in order. A lot of people will tell you have your finances in order separate from what you love, because if you mesh the two of them together, sometimes it ruins what you love. But in your case, this is saying be open to financial contribution with something that you love. But this is tricky. The message is saying don't have any expectation. Now, rationally, I want to tell you, have all your stuff in order, have your investments in order, be putting away in your retirement fund and whatever, meet a financial advisor, do all the things you got to do. But there's something unexpected in your creativity that's going to bring in some goods, some coin for you. My relationship with the one that's too complicated. Question, Julie, how can I become more receptive to my returning spiritual gifts? This is a great question. I'm going to give you an answer without the cards, and I'll give you one with the cards. So to be more receptive to your returning spiritual gifts is, it's a little bit of an art, because you have the gifts emerging or coming back to you. And the trick is to not make so much meaning about all of it, but to just be with the experience of what's going on without any judgment or expectation. Be genuinely, intimately with whatever the experience is of those gifts. Enjoy it, and then have gratitude for it. And only after that process do you want to actually write it down, study it, figure out what could this be. Don't go into what could this be, what is, really feel it, give gratitude for the universe for it. And then when the experience is done, then you reflect and give yourself that confirmation of, oh, whatever the gift is, I just had a vision. I just got a sense that this would happen and it happened. Or I thought about my friend and then they called, whatever it is. Do the kind of analysis later after you are fully in the gift. And then obviously setting the intention, telling the universe, I'm open to this. Being grateful for it. But then also setting up the guardrails as well. So developing a ritual or a tool or something that you can do to turn it down when you need to is very important. Sandra, what is the next step for humankind? What a great question. What is the next step for humankind? I'm not even going to say anything before I pull a card. I'm just going to let the cards talk. The next step for humankind is, okay, this is an interesting one. So let me talk about the archetype. The empathic, sensitive, wounded healer archetype, which if you're on this live right now, I could only imagine that you relate to some degree to that archetype. That wounded healer, putting other people first, people-pleasing, sensitive, psychic, intuitive, but nurturing. I imagine that this community here is not unfamiliar with that. Okay, so that archetype, that pattern of human experience will be sort of brought to the table in a new way, not fully appreciated like maybe things were at another time period, but those skills will be valued in a new way. Soft skills will be valued in a new way. And so, people like that will have a place at the table. I especially see this professionally in terms of collaboration. And it's almost like sensitivity, gentleness, and aesthetics will be seen as a new way of courage. It's almost like the feminine will be valued, because in a lot of our society, the masculine is more valued than the feminine. That's just how the world is right now, and it's been for a long time. The feminine will be valued a little bit closer to the masculine in some areas. That's what I'm getting with Four of Wands. And if you're wondering where I'm getting that, on top of just what's flowing, there's the astrological connection of Venus and Aries, which is the Emperor and the Empress. So the Four of Wands is the marriage card between Emperor and Empress. So they're both coming to the table. I can't wait to read your book, Joe. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited. You're going to read it. It's a good one. So I'll briefly talk about the book, then I'll maybe do a couple more readings, and then we'll get into esoteric lecture. So as you know, I wrote this new book, Tarot Mysticism, the Psycho-Spiritual Technology of the Thoth Tarot Deck. It took me 6 years to write it, not because I was writing it for 6 straight years, but because I didn't really want to write it. But I had these 3 hyperfixations over 6 years. And I started 6 years ago. I stopped for 2 years. I had another little hyperfixation, wrote more of it, stopped for 2 years. And then I was on a call with Ethany, who runs Tarot Readers Academy, who's amazing, huge tarot inspiration of mine, been watching her for years. And she told me, like, you should finish, if you want to write a book, finish it now. And I thought, yes, because if Ethany asked you to write a book, you better write a freaking book. So I was like, I'll do it. And I finished it, and it got picked up by Llewellyn, and now it's here. So it is a exploration of the Thoth Tarot deck in the context of multiple mystical traditions. It's not your mama's intro tarot book. It's not going to give you it gives divinatory meanings, but that's not really what the book is about. It looks at tarot as a tool of mysticism. What's mysticism? It's the highest meta. It's the highest way that you can hopefully directly relate to reality. So whether that's absorption in God or mystical experience or nirvikalpa samadhi or nirvana or all of the great traditions, it explores the Thoth Tarot as a map to all of that. And it's really fun because the Thoth Tarot deck really lends itself to that level of work. If you followed my work now, the way I teach now, I teach tarot in 3 different paradigms. 1 is mechanical, 2 is subtle, causal, and 3 is mystical. And that's how my curriculum at Tarot Mysticism Academy runs. We have 3 different paradigms for 3 totally different levels of work with the tarot and work with ourselves. This book focuses a lot on the subtle causal level, the middle level. So that subtle causal level, that middle level is very philosophical. It's very archetypal. It's very much about symbols and associations and the mind and how we kind of build up our reality through all these thoughts and ideas. So it's very heavy in terms of mystical philosophy. It brings in a lot of different traditions, Advaita Vedanta, some aspects of Neoplatonism, astrology, some numerology, heavy on Hermetic Kabbalah. If Hermetic Kabbalah is your thing, definitely this book. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a meaty one. It's fun. I'm really happy it's done and out there into the world. So, and I'm asking if anyone wants to order it, I'm asking that people order it today because I'm a super ambitious Capricorn and my goal is to see how high I can get up on those Amazon bestseller lists. Yeah, I know it, maybe it doesn't mean anything, but I got a Capricorn stellium. It's like, let's go to the top of the mountain. Yeah. About a month ago, it hit 26 on the occultism bestseller list. I was so excited, and it hit number 1 on new, what is it called? New, I don't know, new releases or something. So I got really excited, but yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's a lot of stuff in that book, and there's exercises. If you do the exercises, it kind of switches some things in your brain. So, but yeah. I'll do a couple more readings and then we'll get into our mini lecture of the day. Maybe I'll read from the book a little bit and we'll talk about our Hermit card. Maybe we'll do some Q&A too. If you have any tarot questions too, you can ask them. All right, Rosie is asking question about career. Earth sign Virgo. Yes. Will I be successful, profitable as a coach and trader with strategy and skills this year? I want trading to be my sole career. Trading, I'm guessing that's not like Pokemon cards. Are you talking about trading on the stock market? Because if that's what you're getting into, where can I book my consultation with you? All right. Will I be successful as a coach? Oh, okay. 5 of Cups. So this is what's telling me for you, Rosie. And it's interesting because I had a similar experience with coaching, and it might be both coaching and trading, but with coaching, the type of coaching you get into in the beginning will not be the one you end up sticking with. That's what I'm getting now. Again, these can change. That's not to say don't go full force in what your heart is bringing you to, because with coaching and building your own, honestly, here's business advice for anyone that wants to build a business, tarot, personal development, or otherwise. It's actually not bad for your first business to not be what you end up doing full time, like your main thing, because you have to learn how to run a business first. So if you can get your feet wet on a niche or a service or a product that is not going to be your main thing, you'll learn the ropes, and there are many ropes to learn. So what I'm getting here is don't see yourself doing what you start doing for a long time, but give yourself fully towards it to learn the thing. And then I'm seeing a change for you. And then you find the main thing. 4 of Wands. There we go. So be open to it. Okay, stock market. So it might be the sense where you start doing stock market, you realize that's not for you, and then you do coaching, or vice versa. You start coaching and then it brings you to stock market. But be open to things as they come. It's interesting, especially now. Now I'm giving a business class, but especially now with the way the world is, social media, everything's so, I mean this lovingly, but it's kind of, everything has to be on the nose. It has to be a little bit superficial for people to really follow you. It has to be obvious what you're doing and why. People are not going to research about a business or a coach or a tarot reader. It has to be oh, that's the person that does that thing, right? Oh, Joe's the mystical misfit crazy who talks about whatever. The universe, and by universe, I mean the algorithms of the powers that be, will naturally typecast you in the way, just how it works now. So you kind of have to surrender to that. And then when the algorithms and the communities and you kind of start to get typecasted into something, you can leverage that. I know that doesn't sound so exciting, oh, I don't want the universe to typecast me, but that's just kind of what happens. I find, the universe, people will tell you, the value that you're bringing to them, and then you want to leverage that. And so because of that, that 5 of Cups might be a moment for you that's like, oh, wait, this might not be what I'm meant to do. I don't know if I want to do this, but everyone's telling me to do that. That's how it was for me in tarot, actually. I was resisting Tarot Mysticism Academy for a while before I started it. Arthur, question. Really wanted to know if there will be a new job for me this year, and mostly, will that make me happy? I love that, Arthur. Okay, I love that happiness is the goal. Okay. 4 of Discs is saying yes, and it will bring you a lot of stability as well. It might not be as dynamic or as you're expecting, but I'm seeing a stable job, and I'm seeing something that works well for you, and the stability brings you happiness. But I'm gonna, one thing about happiness in general, I want to kind of bring up to everyone's mind is that happiness, I would be lying if I said we don't experience happiness when we get things that we want. But always remember that when you get something that you want, it's not always the thing, the object of getting it that makes you happy. It's the resolution of tension that makes you happy. It's the resolution of wanting. So when you have something, because you don't want it anymore, because you're not searching for it, and because you don't feel like you're lacking it, that sense of wholeness and completion is the happiness. So mystically, what we want to do, the cheat code of the universe, is to find that resolution before we get the thing that we want. And then if we can do that, we're happy. Kevin, my question, will my business... Oh, wait, I lost it. Will my business investment in tools turn things around? I just did my part to help your book sales. Oh, thanks. I'm excited to get it, and late night binge read. Oh, thanks so much, Kevin. Oh, that makes me happy. Okay. Will my business investment in tools turn things around? Okay. Prince of Wands is saying, yeah, and pretty speedy as well. But what I get with Prince of Wands for you is I'm getting like the tools. I don't know if you're going to be the one using the tools. I feel like maybe somebody else is going to be using the tools and you're going to be leading them. Prince of Wands is a big leader type of energy. It's very creative. It's very fun. There's a charm. There's a spark. There's an ambition. But the Prince of Wands energy is not the tech. It's not the person that takes the tools and goes and does the thing on the front lines, right? So just knowing that. So speaking of business, maybe this is a step in scaling your business. I keep dropping cards. Oh, here's the Knight of Discs that just dropped. This is the tech person. Oh, I love all these business questions now. This is so fun. I said on my email, I'm a Capricorn, and now I'm getting all these business questions. This is great. Chris, is biz ownership meant for me? Okay, Chris, let's see what we have here. 2 of Swords is saying absolutely if you choose it, but it's a timing question. It might not be the right time. I don't know. There's something that needs to be, you kind of have to sit with something for a while. 2 of Swords is Lord of Peace. It's not a card of like taking action. It's not a fiery card. So it's saying like, maybe it's time to kind of sit down and consider what would be fun for you and do that inner work and do that writing out of like, what's your vision, do some meditation on it, have some conversations, and let it emerge as opposed to like forcing it. Thanks so much, Katie. Will the relationship with my sister ever get repaired? Okay, Katie, let's explore this. All right. Just remember, family has one job. Does anyone know the one job of family? Family always has one job, and that is to judge you. And I say that with love. No, I love family. Family's great. 2 of Wands. Okay, so 2 of Wands, I'm getting the anger from the 2 of Wands. So 2 of Wands is the first deacon of Aries, which is Mars, which is ruled by Mars, right? Mars is anger, it's conflict, but it's creative conflict. So what is this saying? It's almost like, how in relationships, sometimes a therapist or a coach will tell you to schedule a fight. I almost want to say, Katie, maybe it's not a bad idea to schedule a little argument with your sister to really hash things out, but go in with the intention of love and resolution, right? Go in with the intention of I'm going to express myself, but I'm going to own my own feelings and not put them on my sister. So it's more like the anger is at maybe the feeling or what came up, but own it. Same with her. But in that anger, in that discord, there can be something very creative. So guide it with intentions, and instead of like you approach it like this. It's like, sister, I'm feeling a lot of these things. I'm hoping we can chat so I can help. I really love to resolve what I'm feeling right now because I want to have a relationship with you. So it's a little bit of like taking on, going the high road and taking ownership, which people should do anyway. But yeah. I need to figure out my path for saving more money. I have a job, but just can't get ahead. 33 years old, double Gemini, Wisconsin. Well, double Gemini, there you go. Choices, decisions. I know everything's interesting to you, but that's also a skill too. All right, Spencer, let's see what we got for you. I need to figure out my path, saving more money. Princess of Wands, learning new things, apprenticing. Princess of Wands is telling me follow somebody else's journey for right now. Take advice from somebody else. Like, don't be afraid to be not the one in charge, but be supporting the one in charge until you're clear on your vision. And that will give you enough momentum and knowledge and stuff to work with for a while. But yeah, and being open and learning new things. Mare, all right. What do I need to know about starting my tarot business? This is such a great question. All right. Three of Wands is slow and steady, but clarify the path ahead. And like for you, it's going to be really much about seeing where you want to go and then drawing the path from where that is to where you are now. Three of Wands is very much a card. It's a promising card. It's a successful card, but it's saying don't just jump into the deep end and sink or swim. No, this is have the fire in you, yes, to move forward, but you want to have a clear path, a clear order of business, like a list of tasks. And I think you'll be very good at that. Yes. And this is called the Lord of Virtue, or in Golden Dawn, it's called the Lord of Established Strength. So the idea here is this is the sun in Aries, and the sun is exalted in Aries, so it's a powerful combo. It's also a card of Binah, which is Saturn. So all these, sun is ego, sun is success, sun is being open and honest with yourself and other people, being revealed, big with starting a business. Aries is like headstrong, unafraid. But because of the sun, it's the best qualities of Aries. And the best qualities of Aries is that fearless, courageous nature to move forward, be who you are, and not give a fuck. Just do your thing. But it's not a violent movement forward. It's a planned out action. So have a list of steps that support how you want to be revealed to the world. So things like I'm doing a YouTube live, maybe social media posts, go lecture at libraries, go to events, like have all these like little things planned ahead, and then the momentum will follow. Nikki Bishop, what will my finances look like in 2025, please? I love all these questions on finances and business. This is so fun. Usually you get a lot of love questions, which I'm happy to do too. But all right, Nikki, finances in 2015. Two of Discs, lots of change. So I'm seeing changing your investments, but that doesn't necessarily mean monetary investments. It could be how you're investing your time, your energy, your priorities. Two of Discs is the Lord of Change, the Lord of harmonious change in the Golden Dawn. Jupiter in Capricorn. Jupiter and Capricorn don't get along. So Jupiter is expansive, but Capricorn's kind of like more like slower energy. So what this is telling me is the conflict here is you want to go grounding. That's what I'm trying to go. Grounding. Grounding is going to be really important to you. And being open to change. Two of Discs can be a card of moving as well, but definitely a shift in priorities. You got to look at, with two of this, you have to consider what's really moving the needle for you, what is making the most money for you. And yeah, and with every choice you ever make, you got to ask the question, if I choose this, if I buy this, if I go here, will it make me money? Just feel into it. If will it make me money? Not because because everything, money's just energy. So you have to recognize that everything you choose will have a monetary impact on you. Now, it's not like, you don't want to do this in your head. You don't want to think like, oh my God, if I do that, it's not calculations and computations. That you do want as well for other situations, but in the energetic, intuitive moment, you just kind of feel into it and feel like, will this bring value to me? Will this allow me to be a contribution to the world and the world to be a contribution to me? I work with one of the amazing people on my team, Melissa. She's wonderful. Another thing I did this year is I started a team to help me with Tarot Mysticism Academy, and they're some of the best people I've ever met, and truly a godsend. The grace of Ganesha, I can't even explain. But what Melissa always brings is the way Melissa looks at the world, which inspires me so much, is she always looks at how can this be a win-win for everybody. And that's like when you're thinking about money, it's always about, you want to ask, how can this be a win-win? How can I contribute more? How can I be contributed to? And it just moves the alchemical process along. I've been waiting for somebody to unblock me and be friend with me. Will he do that in 2025? I'm Leo Capricorn rising and he's Sag. I wouldn't expect that to happen, but Eight of Wands is saying yes. But I would say, don't expect, the more you wait for it, the more it won't happen. But even if it does, that's not the problem, is that they blocked you. There's something else behind that. So what you want to ask you have to ask the question like this: do I want to spend time or energy with somebody who doesn't want to spend time or energy with me? And if they blocked you, obviously they don't want to spend time or energy with you right now for whatever reason. So it's okay. It's okay. You have to remember that whatever you represent to that person is not who you really are. It's just what you represent to them and their body, mind, psyche. So if you can divorce yourself from whatever you think you mean to them, you'll be in a better place. How will it look for me finding a partner in love? Tina, great question. Prince of Wands. Okay, so this is fun. I get the sense with you that dating, really dating. But the thing is with you is I'm seeing you have these dates that are kind of high energy and exciting, but they don't necessarily go anywhere. So if that's the case for you, or you get easily excited about people, or maybe they get easily excited about you, if it's not going anywhere, but you're having a lot of those like what ifs, it's a vision issue. And by vision issue, I mean you haven't fully clarified the type of person you want to be with yet. That's very important. You have to know, you really have to be clear on what you're looking for, the type of person you want to be with. And you have to, and I mean this, you have to know it subconsciously, not just consciously. The biggest thing with finding love is knowing yourself, right? Knowing yourself and being comfortable to ask that of the universe and be open for it to showing up. But it has to be like in your nervous system. So I used to do a lot of love coaching. And when I found my partner, it was like I had done all the work of like clarifying the vision of who I want to be and like feeling that in myself and going out and dating and being open. And I had a beautiful journey of self-discovery. But the day I found my partner, it was 2 days after I saw my best friend. Her boyfriend proposed to her, and I looked at them, and I thought, and this was like a split second. It was like a semi-subconscious thought. I was like, yeah, I would like that. That would be nice. It would be nice to have a partner. But it wasn't like, oh, I want to find love. It wasn't intense. It was just a very relaxed, like, yeah, it's time for a partner. And then literally 2 days later, I met the love of my life. But because the reason I'm sharing that with you is because it happened because in my nervous system, in my subconscious, I knew that I was ready. It was a deep knowing, and I knew it was like so subconscious because it was like that. It wasn't like a search. It wasn't like effort. With that said, to get to that point where you know exactly what you want and it's effortless, you need to put in the effort to figure that out. And the effort is where that's where people fall off a lot of the time. They don't want to put in the effort of going on the dates and doing the shadow work and because it's a lot, right? It's exhausting. You got to look at dating like a part-time job. It's a lot of energy, it's a lot of emotions, but it's fun. You learn about yourself. I've heard this year is ruled by Mars as well. I'm not sure. Is it? Maybe. I'm low key like the worst astrologer ever. Yixin, question about my art career. How is the prospect of my illustration artist career in 2025? All right, illustration art career 2025. 5 of discs. Okay. I'm not saying don't go for it, but I'm seeing one of two issues showing up for you. One, financially, it might not pay the best, or the timing and the schedule might be off. Maybe, I don't know if like you're having scheduling issues or you're having a difficult time finding time to do the art. But that's kind of the perpetual artist struggle, right? We need time for the creative process, but then we also need time to like make money to support that creative process. So that's what the cards are saying. Don't take it. I don't want to plant a seed. 7 of discs. I don't know. I'm seeing one project maybe not working out, but keep moving forward. 7 of discs is a time to reevaluate something. Hello, Luigi. Yes, we do need 2022. It's been 2 years. Wow. 3 years now. Yes. In the earlier TMA times. Oh my goodness. So yeah, Yixin, what I'm saying, I'm thinking it's time to explore other options, like radically. Because your talent is talent no matter what you put it to. You have talent if you're an artist, I imagine. So it's time to explore other scenarios, reach out to publishers, think about going into marketing. If you have talent, like see what ways it may manifest for you. I'm a big proponent of selling out if you have talent. I used to not be this way. I used to have a dance company, modern dance company. I was super highfalutin, only high art, and that's what I did for a while. And when I stopped my dance company, I told myself, I said, Joe, the next thing you do, you're going to sell out. Because that's what one of my mentors told me. He said, don't be afraid to sell out. I refused to sell out in art. Now with Tarot Mysticism Academy, admittedly, I do sell out a little bit because I'm teaching tarot and divination. Now, what I really teach is mysticism and personal growth, but I teach divination as well because that's the most popular thing. So I'm unafraid to sell out. And by selling out, I'm more of a contribution to people because they learn divination and they have a tool, but then that leads them into something deeper, and then they start changing their entire lives around. So don't be afraid to sell out. It can actually be a bigger contribution to people. And so, sometimes it's just a matter of finding out how that will be. Oh, Katayoon, it's so good to see you. Oh my God, it's been so long. I'm so happy you're here. Happy New Year. Thank you so much, Govinda. Oh, thanks, LBCA. Yep, the book. I actually thought the book was going to. I thought it was releasing January 8th because that's when Amazon releases it. But I think Llewellyn already delivered it to people because I was on a call with Christine the other day, and she was showing me my book had delivered. So I was like, oh, I guess it's released. So I don't know. Maybe this launch period I scheduled was a little bit arbitrary. But anyway, yeah. So book's available. I'm super excited. If you want to order the book, I'm asking everyone to order it today. Because that will help me the most for Amazon and things. But you can get it wherever. You get it on Amazon, Llewellyn, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, anywhere books are sold. But yeah, it's a really fun one. Okay. Saba. I'll do a couple more readings, then we'll do some esoteric banter, discussion, lecture, class. We'll see where it goes. I always say that. I always say we're going to get to the lecture, and then I see questions. I'm like, oh, let me answer that. Oh, let me answer that. Saba says, Saba is such a cool name. It's the name of a character I'm reading in this book called The Expanse. I got really into The Expanse recently because I'm kind of on a little sci-fi physics kick. Hi, what is this? What is this feeling of anxiety peaking at the same time after I did my shadow work and came into true peace in my inner state? Paradoxical, I know. This is a good question. So, um, okay, so I'm going to give you the real answer just because I'm feeling really ambitious. So I'm just going to give you the real answer. So the shadow work that we do, shadow work being like looking at the parts of ourselves that we don't love and resolving them. When it's like, what's a good way to think about it? It's almost like if you have, I drink a lot of soda. So if you have like a bottle of soda and you shake it up, right? And then it's all fizzy and then you open it and then it spews out. So all this stuff that's been bottled in your nervous system, psyche for a long time, it spews out and then there's this mess, right? And that's what people, they don't want the mess. They want to keep it inside. But you do the shadow work, you accept the parts that you don't love, and then it all spews out and then there's this mess. Well, think of it this way. The soda just spewed out and there's soda everywhere and it's sticky, but you're hearing the fizziness of the carbonation, right? So that fizziness of the carbonation is kind of like the residual anxiety. You haven't fully cleaned up yet. There's soda on the floor, it's sticky, you're hearing the bubbles, you got it out, but there's this like fizz. But here's the thing. No matter how much shadow work you do, we have to be open to the possibility that maybe there will always be a little fizziness because we're one life. If we did all the work we had to do in this one life, guess what we're going to be doing next? We're going to be resolving the issues of our past life, and then the life before that, and then the life before that. And I don't mean this like superstitiously or metaphysically even. I mean that these past lives are encoded in our DNA. The trauma that we may have experienced as like I don't know, like an amoeba or like a single-celled organism is still in us somewhere, right? That may not be fully resolved, right? So like these days we have an itch to we have attachments, right? Maybe we have attachments for physical things in the world and money or sex or whatever, or even spiritual attachments. I want to be I have big spiritual attachments. I want to be awakened. I want to be peaceful. I want to be all these things. But those attachments are nothing but super complex species centric manifestations of similar urgings that are much more primordial, much more primordial, like the subtle urge of the single cell to multiply and become multicellular or whatever it happens, however it goes. So in a way, there's like so much to resolve all the time. And I would go as far as to say that the only way to fully resolve everything is to, you have to like, there's these glimpses that happen in these different mystical traditions. Every mystical tradition talks about these like existential glimpses of radical, deep peace. But what those glimpses are is they're not this metaphysical, superstitious thing where your mind explodes and you're like floating and whatever, and you know it's a recognition of the reality underlying all the stuff that we experience, including the shadow work that we have to do, the subconscious, the primordial itch, the manifestations of our own neuroses, like that is all going to be what it is because it's in the brain, it's in the nervous system. There's nothing right or wrong with that. We resolve that on the subtle causal level over time through healing and whatever, through your own journey, through your therapy, through just life, learning life lessons. That resolves here. But the plane above that is when we recognizing what's underlying all of that. And what's underlying all of that is contentless. There's no content there. So when we look at reality from that perspective at the top of the mountain, you recognize there was none of that to begin with. There was really no neuroses, no disturbance, no itch, no primordial urge, no nothing from this life or another lifetime. But it's a totally, it's recognizing a deeper truth. And it's difficult to talk about because it goes beyond the subject-object relationship. Because whenever we're working on ourselves, there's a self that we're working on, right? I'm doing the shadow work. Okay, well, where's the shadow? Oh, the shadow's an archetype. Well, if the shadow is an archetype, who are you in relationship to that? And Carl Jung might argue like, oh, there's the persona and there's the complexes and there's all the different archetypes. But really, at the end of the day, it's like if you're working with all these things, who is the you that is doing the work on all these things? So to really resolve, and this is what I have found for my own anxiety and my own neuroses, is that the only thing that can really predictably for me resolve like disturbances, anxieties, fears is to ask myself the question, what does this really exist in, right? Because if you have an anxiety, if it's a thought, you have to like, what is the anxiety? Is it a thought? Is it a sensation in my body? You have to recognize that it's a form. Now we're going into a non-duality discussion. Recognize if it's a form, which it must be because you're experiencing it. How else would you experience it if it's not a form or a texture or quality? If it's a form, there must be something else to experience the form, to define it, to measure it, to qualify it, to label it, to say what it really is. And if there's something else to do that, then that thing is not the object in question. So if you know that you're experiencing anxiety, what's the difference between you and the anxiety? So instead of like, oh, I'm anxious, I'm this, I'm that, it's, oh, there's an experience of anxiety. But you have the recognition here is that the anxiety is occurring within the space of you, and you're the space. If you can get to that place, and there's ways to do this. There's something we do in Tarot Mysticism Academy called the Inside Out Meditation, and there's multiple ways to do it, and other techniques I want to teach in the future at Tarot Mysticism Academy. But if you can get to that recognition of, oh, whatever I'm experiencing now is occurring within the space of what I am, then nothing will touch you. Which brings us to the Hermit card. I think that's a good transition into the Hermit card. So, but here's the thing. Before I go into the Hermit card and we trek up the mountain, I want to make this very clear for everyone, and I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, or like, I'm not trying to criticize the many useful and beautiful things there are around in the world in terms of the new age and spirituality and personal development. There's so much stuff, typologies and Myers-Briggs and astrology and shadow and archetypes, and there's so much stuff to work with and play with, and it's all helpful. It's all very helpful. But the fact of the matter is, you can spend lifetimes working with all of these granular aspects of yourself, but whenever you work with content from that subject-object relationship, there's always going to be a division between you and what you're working on. So eventually, and I'm not saying this has to be tomorrow or whenever, it'll happen whenever it happens, but eventually, after you've done enough work where you are functioning at a way you want to function, and you feel stable and you feel like good, you realize that at a certain point, all those things become futile. I know, right? Tarot, therapy, astrology, like typologies and human design and energy healing and all these things, so helpful. I'm not saying don't do all those things, but there will come a point where it's like you can't get any farther, because the operating system that is required for all of these things is me working on myself, right? Me looking at myself. And that's the division right there. So eventually, there's no self to work on. There's just being. And being is full in itself. And being, by virtue of like that level of being cannot have the quality of anxiety or fear or attachment or any of these things, because it is so fine, it's so subtle, that it is the reality that makes up all of those precipitations, all of those manifestations, all of those experiences. Totally different operating system. Actually, rather presence. Yes, exactly. It would be more accurate to say that at that level, there's no operating system. And that totally brings us to the Hermit card. When you get to that place, what next? Well, when you get to that place, it's not really a place. It's more of, even though I talk about it as a place, it's just being. There's truly nothing next. There's nothing before. There was never. It's just being, and to give it a word, I would say silence. But what the way I like to describe it is like an existential sigh of relief, relaxing into deep silence. But we don't have to get there now. We can do a million things. We can save the world. We can get rich and famous. We can, eat all the food we want and sex and enjoy life and enjoy art and enjoy the human design and the astrology and the archetype. Like the other side of the coin is enjoyment of that. This is more of a tantric approach, building a deeper intimacy with the diversification of our experiences, really enjoying it. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the Hermit card and the numerology of the year, because everything I'm just discussing, being, going up to the mystical level, going up the mountain, is very related to the Hermit card. Okay. So, oh boy. So it's 2025. Happy New Year, everyone. Thanks for being here. So I'm going to give a mini lecture on the Hermit card and what all of this means. So 2025 reduces to 9 numerologically. So in numerology, you add up the digits and then you get the number, and that's the number. So it's a 9 year. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 5 is 9. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 is 9. And the card, the 9th card of the tarot, is the Hermit. So what do we notice about the Hermit? Well, we notice that there's an old man, and he's standing on what looks like snow, could be a mountain peak. Probably is, because it's snow and there's nothing behind him. It's as if like there's a haze, or like just like he's so high up you can't see anything. And he has a staff, he has the long beard, he has the lantern, and all those fun things. So the first thing I want to say is let's talk about Keter first on the Tree of Life. So I'm going to pull up our Tree of Life. Okay, so the Tree of Life is a map of reality. It's an anatomy of God, and this comes from Kabbalah, which is a form of Jewish mysticism with a really interesting and complex and beautiful history. And what the Kabbalah does, it's a mystical tradition. It means receive, and it is passed down, and it's a wild one. In terms of like different mystical traditions, Kabbalah is a very brainy, heady, intellectual path. It does a lot with obviously Hebrew and numbers and interpreting the Torah in all types of really interesting ways, and pulls from all these commentaries and develops a very rich and complicated understanding of God. So the tree of life, as you may know if you've watched my work, if all my students here, y'all definitely know about this. Tree of life is a system of emanation, and there are these sephirot, which are vessels, and these vessels contain God's energy, essentially. So we go from Keter to Malkuth. Keter is the source. It literally translates to crown. It is the Godhead. And the energy we start with nothingness, but I don't want to go there in this lecture. Keter pours itself down into all of these sephirot, reaching us in Malkut. So the higher we go, the more quote unquote spiritual. The lower we go, the more quote unquote manifest HD rendering of the universe. Okay, so the first thing I'll talk about here, I'm just going to say that the Hermit, and I don't remember, I think I might have pulled this from Paul Foster Case. The Hermit is an image of God. Yes, the Hermit is an image of God. So Keter, the crown, the Godhead, this is like nothing but the truth, so help me God. And Godhead, as opposed to God, which is more of a, God can we think of as more of a personality, but the Godhead is like the gaudiest God, right? And on top of God, there's nothing. There's Ein Sof. So Keter, all the way up here, translates to crown. And the image that is associated with Keter is a profile of a bearded man, which is what we get in the Hermit card in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, a profile of a bearded man, a side profile, right? So that tells us that this is a representation of God. But not just that. The Hermit is attributed to the Hebrew letter Yod. Now, Yod is a very important Hebrew letter. Let me see if I can give you, if you don't know what this looks like, I'm going to try to get you a, let's pull up the Yod. Do we have it here? Okay. So this is a Yod right here. And the Yod is it's a beautiful, the Hebrew is one of the most beautiful languages because it just makes sense. It's so incredibly smart. The Yod is the sort of like source code of Hebrew. The Kabbalists will say that the Yod is like the flame that God blew, and when the flame went in all directions, it created the Hebrew letters. So this is like the source of the Hebrew Aleph Bet, in the same way as the Hermit is representing an image of God as the source of everything there is. But it gets even more fun. So the name of God in the Torah is Yod He Vav He, which is an impronounceable name of God. And this is very important. God's name cannot be pronounced because to do so would be to limit God. In the same way as when we were talking before about going up all the way to being, when you're at that level, quote unquote, of just being, remember how I said being cannot have anxiety. Being cannot experience attachment or desire, because all of those things emerge as forms within being. Being is the most subtle thing you could say about reality, the fact that it is. If it is any one thing, it's not total being. It's not total existence. It's not total consciousness. If it's anything in particular, then it's that. And by being something in particular, it's not the whole. Okay. So in the same way, you can see I'm pulling in from a sort of Advaitic approach, but I'm coming back into Kabbalah now. In the same way, in the Kabbalah, Yod He Vav He, the Holy Tetragrammaton, the name of God, cannot be pronounced, because to pronounce it would be to make it something when it is that which all things exist in. It is all. It is everything. So the Torah uses Yod He Vav He as the name to point to God. Why Yod He Vav He? There's so many reasons, but for today, let's just talk about it in this way. Yod He Vav He, YHVH, is a formula of a creative process. And for us tarot readers out there, this will be very comfortable for your brains. Yod He Vav He is attributed to the 4 elements in the same way as the 4 suits of the tarot. Yod is fire, He is water, Vav is air, and He final is earth. Now, I'm working from the Hermetic Kabbalah, which is a little bit different. In the original Jewish Kabbalah, the elements have a slightly different order, I believe. But for our purposes, we're looking at fire, water, air, and earth. And so, Yod is attributed to fire, but more importantly, it's the first letter of the name of God. Okay, the first letter of the name of God. So Yod has a pretty big job. The Yod introduces the very name of God. So at the Hermit, let's do a quick review. What do we have so far? We have the Hermit who's standing on a mountain peak, and we have an image of a profile of a bearded man, which is the image attributed to Keter, the Godhead. That's number 1. Number 2, we have an attribution to the Hebrew letter Yod, and Yod is the first letter of the name of God, write this word down, introducing the name of God, okay? And all of the normal attributions we connect the Hermit to. What is the Hermit? The Hermit is a mentor. The Hermit is wise. The Hermit is isolated. The Hermit is a teacher. The Hermit reveals the way. The Hermit is a wanderer. The Hermit is a mad mystic like Diogenes, looking for an honest man. The Hermit is all these things we attribute this Hermit archetype. But when we look at the esoteric meaning of the Hermit is not just that mad mystic, but an image of God. So when we think about God as this, like, with Hermit qualities, is God an isolated being? Is God wise? Is God a teacher? Is God somebody who sheds light? Is God somebody, all these things, who's looking for an honest man? In a way, we can explore that because the isolation of the Hermit doesn't just mean that the Hermit is isolated from other people, like societally. The isolation alludes to the fullness of the Hermit. What does this mean? If something is truly isolated in the universe, let me put it this way. The only thing that can be truly isolated, that can be alone, the only thing that can be alone in reality, in the universe, is pure being itself. Pure being. The only thing that can be alone in the universe is pure being. Why is that the case? Because being has no other thing separate to it. Being has no other thing separate to it. The quality of being is the same wherever you go in the universe. The fact that I am right now is the same fact that you are wherever you are tuning in. The quality of I am is the same quality that this journal is. You can get a free version of this on the website. Hey, the quality of this microphone, the quality of the air, the quality of time, space, the quality of being is always the same. So being has no second thing to it. The fact of existence. The Hermit represents this fact by being alone. He is a personification of being itself as the truly only singularity, the only alone thing that has no second. I'm pulling in. You can probably, if you studied Advaita Vedanta, you can see the influence here. One without second is one of the famous lines in the Upanishads. Okay. Yod He Vav He, remember Yod He Vav He, the name of God? Yod He Vav He stems from the root word to be. Okay? So Yod He Vav He is a formula that represents a creative process of being itself. And being itself, being that being is everything, is all, is the whole universe, is reality itself, it is alone, perfect and whole. If there was something else it wouldn't contain everything. So the hermit represents to us that which is all-inclusive. It's like existential wholesale. Costco, right? Existential wholesale. You go if you went to Costco and Costco sold wholesale the entire universe, everything that existed, that would be pure being. Luckily, you don't have to go to Costco to do this because you already are. You can wholesale being to your own self. That's what mysticism is all about. I like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so all opposites are just in the mind, always in the mind. What the mind does is it splits things up. The biggest way it splits things up is your subjective experience versus your objective view. The fact that you have an inner world and an outer world. Do you ever wonder about that? Why do you have an inner world and an outer world? Why not one? Well, the truth is you don't have an inner world and an outer world. There is just one. But the mind splits things up because it's fun. The mind takes the paper of the universe, folds it on itself, and rubs it on itself because then it's something to do. This is the existential self-masturbatory nature of existence, right? Look how much fun we're having. So but what the hermit does is he reminds us that there's only one being. Okay, so let's any questions on that before we move forward? And so the thing about tarot is tarot gives us an image to contemplate this, but the true contemplation is not with the image. And this is what throws a lot of people off. And this is, it's a new direction that Tarot Mysticism Academy has been moving in. But eventually, the Hermit's beautiful, and we can talk about it and analyze it conceptually and symbolically, like I'm doing now. But the essence of the Hermit is not the image. The essence of the Hermit is the wholesale existential quality of being. And one might say that that quality of being may be what the hermit is aware of as an awakened sage. And he's giving us this light to hopefully get there. Johnny Blake, you're asking a great question. Your question is, do all of the major arcana point to being in some way? Yes. The truth is, and maybe other tarot people may argue with this, but the truth is every major arcana card says the exact same thing, but it says the same thing on different levels and in different contexts. And in a way, every card is meant for different levels of understanding. So if you want to understand reality from the perspective of the body, you look at the world card. If you want to understand the reality through the mind and your ego, you look at the art card. If you want to understand reality more directly, you work with the priestess card. If you want to understand reality through more of a feminine, like receptive approach, you look at cards like the Chariot. Or if you want to approach or judgment to a degree. If you want to approach things on a more masculine side, you look at cards like the Emperor. Or in some ways the moon. I know that sounds like, wait, the moon's feminine. Yes, but it gets into a whole lot of things. If you're taking my courses like Advanced Tarot, Esoteric Tarot, Tarot and Astrology, it pieces all these different things together. It's a lot. And people gravitate to what appears to be something on the front of the card, but when you go really into it, it's actually something opposite, which is also what the cards do intentionally, because it helps us start to fuse these different energies. Okay. Yes, the hand. Okay, so let's talk about the hand. Do we want to talk about the hand now? That's where I was going to go next. Remember before how I said that the yod is what introduces the name of God? I'm now going to talk about my favorite thing, which is the logos. So the hand, let's talk about the symbolism of the hand. So we see the hermit is actually, his hand is extended and he's carrying this lantern thing. And the lantern has 6 points, the Star of David, the hexagram, the microcosm, all that good stuff. The hand is the Hebrew letter Yod. The symbol attributed to the Hebrew letter Yod is hand. Now, this is literally the hand of God. I think of it like Master Hand in Super Smash Bros. If you're a gamer, the hand of God is like a symbol for God's will, or more accurately, God's creative process, and or God's creative impulse. So the way we can think of this is like God's oomph, God's intention, God's goal, God's telos. All of those things can be brought back into one word, which is logos. The best way to understand logos is simply this. From the top of the mountain, in nirvikalpa samadhi, in nirvana, in total salvation, in total real spiritual awakening, there's no thing. That's what Ein Sof is all about, right? That's what Nirguna Brahman is all about in the Vedantic tradition. It's nothingness. There's no quality, there's nothing. Yet, and this is a step down from the mountain, the nature of nothingness is everything. Because nothing is truly nothing, it cancels itself out at such a degree that by canceling itself out, nothing is the exact same thing as everything. The true void, not the void of like existential midlife crisis, the true void is so truly a void, is so truly empty, is so truly nothing that it actually is everything. And that fact, which is maybe illogical, is the logos. The logos is, we might from a human perspective, the logos is the will of God. But if we were to go a little bit to be more accurate, we would say the logos is the nature of nothingness to be, remember being, simultaneously everything. So it's also the first step of the Fool off of the cliff, right? Notice how the Fool card of the tarot is also on a mountain cliff, right? Where there's mountains behind him. Let me see, where is he? Okay, here he is. So notice how our Fool, he's at the mountain cliff, but behind him are mountains. The Fool is at the same place as the Hermit, okay? It's that spiritual illumination. But because the Fool is zero, the Fool is true nothingness, he steps off into everythingness just by being nothing. And there's another connection. The Fool is 0, which is the smallest digit we have. The Hermit is 9, which is the largest digit we have. So the Hermit and the Fool show the beginning and the end in its own way. There's a little hint here in the tarot, right? We think the world is the end and the world is the end, but the Hermit is the spiritual end. So the Fool is 0, the Hermit is 9. They both represent the highest forms of spirituality, but the Fool is without experience, the Hermit is with experience. So the Hermit is recognizing the full nature of being in nothingness at the top of the mountain, having gone through life. Okay, I think I was going to go somewhere else. Oh, the logos, yes. So another thing that is connected with the logos, the Yod represents the logos. It's the Hebrew. Remember how I said the Yod is the flame that is the source code, the source pattern of the Hebrew alphabet. God blows that flame into the alphabet. Well, that's the logos. It's the source code for everything that can be. In the same way that language is sort of like the source code of language is the voice, but the language is all the forms that arise from the voice to label and define reality as it is, to label all the things, to bring in the separation within the nothingness, okay? And that's manifestation. Manifestation is how language, very simply put, manifestation is how language, thought, feeling separates reality into different things, like magic. Mysticism is how the dying of language, the dying of separation, resolves one into unity again. Manifestation down, mysticism up, right? So Tarot Mysticism Academy, we teach about manifestation and mysticism both in many courses. In Mysticism for Misfits, we look at both of them and the how-tos and all of that. Okay. Great. So the hand, the yod, the first letter of the tetragrammaton, is like the logos. It's the signal that something is going to be created. But also the yod is attributed to Chokmah on the Tree of Life, which is the supernal father. The source of masculine energy of reality of the universe is Chokmah. And so Chokmah is this expansive, creative faculty. And the idea is that the hand is the organ, the body part that we use most to create. And I don't know, I always love to bring it back to something something in terms of our evolution, anthropological. So when we inherited thumbs, however million years ago, that's when humanity started building tools and started to create civilization. So the hand, archetypally, is very easily associated with creation, because this is what we build with, this is what we type with, this is what we play music with, this is what we do all the different things with. So, so the hermit thus represents an image of God as being, as nothingness, stepping out of nothingness with the creative hand, which is the logos. And what is the hermit holding? So let's do a little review, because this is I'm going to wrap it all together, right? So if you're with me, great. If you're not, there'll be a recording. Okay, so we got the hermit, an image of God, the side profile of the bearded face attributed to Keter. The hermit, alone, without second, on the top of the mountain, spiritually awakened, a full image of God, but also an image of the mystic. From the hermit, who represents union and everything, his hand comes out. The hand represents the logos, which is the very will of God, or rather of nothingness, to be everything, right? Literally, the word of God comes from the word to be, right? Ehiyeh, to be. The being nature of God is nothingness becoming everything, and that's represented by the hand, the logos. But what does the hand hold? The hand holds a six-pointed star, the hexagram. And what is the hexagram? The hexagram is Tiferet on the Tree of Life. And Tiferet is the place of the individual, the you, the me, in all of this, the microcosm, the human experience. It's the place of the dying God. Why the dying God? Because if we're incarnated, we're going to die. As an individual, the price of being an individual is birth and death. That is the arbitrary measurements that we superimpose onto reality to say that we are alive, that we have a life. Nobody has a life. It's just being, right? But we say, oh, I have a life. I was born at this moment and I died at this moment. But you'll never find a literal moment of birth and death, right? At what part of the zygote was birth, right? This gets, if I could get into a whole political question, right? Oh my God, let's keep that away. But really, the moment of birth and death, superficial measurements on reality, and but the ability to do so is Tiferet, is that ability to say I am an individual. And notice the path that the hermit is attributed to. The hermit is the path 20 that goes from Chesed to Tiferet, from mercy to beauty. So on the Tree of Life, the hermit draws the energy from mercy, which is the mercy of God, literally into Tiferet, which is beauty, the beauty of the human experience. So I know that got very technical for a bit. If you're like totally lost, if you're a student of mine and you're lost, you want to touch up on Esoteric Tarot, Advanced Tarot, and Mysticism for Misfits courses. If you're not a student of mine and you want to get into these technicalities, then you want to be a student of mine. Okay, so let's review what we got here. The hermit, an image of God, an image of the all, one without second. Have it with the hand reaching out, a symbol of logos via the yod, the Hebrew letter yod, and Chokmah. nothingness extending out into everythingness. And what dangles from the hand? The hexagram. And the hexagram, the number 6, 6 is the 6th sephira on the tree of life, Tifereth, beauty, which is the individual. So the idea here is that we are this 6-pointed star as a microcosmic reflection of the macrocosm, that the light of the world, there we go, right? Bringing in some Christian stuff there. The light of the world is the microcosm, is your own consciousness right now, the space between your ears, behind your eyes, that seems to be illuminating everything. That right now, not in the future, not after you're awakened, right now is nothing but the radiance of the light of God, of being, of existence, of the hermit, all the way at the top of the mountain. Okay, so that was fun. What does that mean for anything? So this is where we have to bridge it into our actual lives. And I'm going to use the person, I don't remember who asked this, but somebody asked about anxiety. I think Saba, was it? Saba asked maybe a half an hour ago or so about anxiety. But you can apply this to anything in life. Whenever, shit hits the fan and life isn't doing well and you're not doing well and you need some love, you need something, this is where you bring this in. It's the recognition that your ability to illuminate reality, you walk into a room, you turn the lights on and you see the room. That room owes its existence to your own illuminating faculty. Your ability to look at something and render it in your experience is your perfect and whole participation in the universe. This is so subtle. It's almost epistemological. Your ability to render whatever you experience is you are the agent of you're the agent of existence. You're the agent of being. The room would not exist without you there in front of it, being aware of it. And I know that's a philosophical question. We can debate that all day long, but essentially you render reality by being part of it. So now I'm going to get a little Vedantic here. That which does the rendering, that which does the knowing, that which is aware of your experiences, of the room, of all of that you're illuminating, is none other than the one, than the hermit, than being. And so far, nobody anywhere, no scientist, no philosopher, no anyone has found that observer anywhere. And yet we all are an observer, but the true observer has never been found in the brain or in the body or somewhere. Like, that observer is the most important thing. So for 2025, what does this mean for everyone? Let's bring it home. Let's bring it down into Malkuth. For 2025, this is the year of recognizing you as the observer that renders all reality, as the agent of being. And as an observer, you're none of the things you experience. You observe all the things you experience, but you're none of them. And what this does on a practical level and a almost somatic therapeutic level is it puts space, what I'm about to tell you is a lie, but it applies. It puts space between you and whatever you're going through. And this is like an art, but the more you can pull into your own nature as being, the more nothing will touch you. And that's that. So at that level, you don't need to pull a card. You don't need to check the stars. You don't need to go to the bar and have a drink. You don't need to do anything. There's nothing to hide. There's nowhere to go. There's no mountain to climb. There's no Amazon bestseller list that Joe is so attached to. There's no whatever. There just is. And that's it. And then somebody asks, well, what do you do then? There's nothing to do. Okay, but we all know that we love everything under that. So, do you have any questions before I go back into a couple readings? I'll read a quote from my book on the Hermit real quick. Tarot Mysticism, available now everywhere books are sold. And even though we talked all about that, I still love my attachment. So I'm still a little bit attached to seeing how far I can get on an Amazon bestseller list. So if you want to order the book, definitely order it today. That's the goal, is to have all the books ordered today, and from Amazon. See how I can rank. That would be so fun. Okay, let's read a. Okay, so this is on the Hermit card. The ultimate mystery of concern for this card is that of the will that is ultimately one, and of the cosmos of which you are a part. The entire will of the universe can be experienced and understood transrationally within your subjective YO universe. We can express it through every possible symbol, commentary, and scripture, but it is ultimately ineffable, as the Hermit is quiet and the Tao is nameless. This may appear to be some lofty philosophy, but the truth of it is revealed in the most mundane daily expressions here on earth itself, in the always changing mutability of matter and Virgo. I didn't go into Virgo today, but the Hermit card is attributed to Virgo. All events, however loud, occur amid a background of vast silence. It is that vast silence that is most characteristic of the Hermit, and by extension, the Logos. This silence can further be interpreted as the lack of reason, the lack of because. May because be accursed forever. If will stops and cries why, invoking because, then will stops and does not. That's a quote from Crowley's Book of the Law. All right. Any questions? Let's check. LBCA, I don't know if it ships internationally, but I know the book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and directly through the publisher Llewellyn. I forgot. On Wednesday, yeah. So those, I think, hopefully in the combination of those sources, they do ship. I know I think they all ship internationally, but I'm not totally sure. This is exactly what I needed today. Every time I connect with you, I grow and open up new rabbit holes that help me grow. Not being dramatic, but you've helped me change my life. Oh, I'm so glad, Kathleen. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, it's this material, this knowledge has done the same for me. I've come a long, long way just like studying this stuff, and I find it just keeps getting better and better. Oh, thank you, Jasmine. Yeah, my birthday is in 4 days. I'm turning timeless, as you all are as well. And yeah. Looking for another one. Arthur, that's a good question. I would email me. But what we're doing now with TMA is we do have so TMA, it can be a lot, but it doesn't have to be a lot. We have a whole bunch of courses, but we have a lot of most of our courses have a self-paced version. So if timing and scheduling is an issue, you can make your own schedule as you go through it. I have people that are doing I have students that have multiple kids, multiple jobs, doing a lot, and they kind of go through the coursework just in their ears throughout the day, and it can be very helpful to them. Simone, question, wonderful explanation of the Hermit. Can you briefly explain the star card? That would be a whole nother lecture. I didn't even finish the Hermit today, but yeah, you can connect that. You can connect all the light on the tarot. The light on the tarot, some people connect it to the LVX formula. which is related to, I believe, in the Golden Dawn, that's related to the Adeptus Minor ritual, which is about dying and being reborn. Oops, dropped a Golden Dawn secret. Oops, share the secret of the Illuminati. No, they're not secrets. They're all published somewhere. Alyssa, yeah, I want to study a lot of things this year too. It's a lot. There's so much fun things to study. Oh, I gobbled up the course like a starving man eats his first meal. Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. That's how I am. When I get into something, I get obsessed with it and I have to learn everything about it. And then I just really go real far. But yeah, so just to review, the 2025 year of the Hermit, year of the Logos, the hand, the creative agency, but really, as much as I'd love to tell you everything's going to be all right, everything won't be all right because that's a lie. Everything will be what it is. Things will be fun and things will be not fun. But what I can tell you with certainty is that the underlying truth of all the things that happen, that which is one without second, the hermit at the top of the mountain, that being, for me, is the ultimate existential refuge, because within being, there's no qualities. So returning into being. And what does that mean? Simply, I'll give it a quick exercise. Simply put, that sitting down and recognizing I am aware, and not even I am aware, but just bring it even back one. Just sitting down, closing your eyes, and noticing that you are. That's all. Noticing that you are. Pulling in to that deep, primordial certitude of I am. That's it. Everything else comes after. I am hungry. I am whatever. I am happy. I am sad. I am afraid. I am confused. I am, nope, just bring it back to I am. All right. So last little plug before I go into readings again. Tarot Mysticism Academy available for order now. I'm asking everyone to order today. That'll help me with my Amazon rankings and my silly little attachments. And yeah. All right. So we'll do a couple more readings before we wrap up. Does anyone have any, or if anyone has any questions on today's lecture, I'll answer those. Or if you have any like divinatory questions, I will answer those. What else? Another thing I'm doing more of this year is I'm really focusing on working with spiritual businesses as well. I started a mastermind last year and it's been going so well. And I'm seeing my students and members like do some really amazing stuff with their own business, becoming professional tarot readers and coaches. And that's really beautiful. Tarot Mysticism Academy has been really successful. Actually, it got very successful very fast. And so I'm starting to like teach other people how I did that. So if anyone's interested in becoming a professional tarot reader, coach, energy healer, starting your own school, starting your own community, all of that fun stuff, definitely tune in, because I'm doing another kind of version of the mastermind this year for people that want to learn how to actually make a living doing this type of stuff. Whether it's tarot, astrology, or teaching, or whatever, any mystical misfit that wants to go out into the world and like bring this to more and more people, I'm teaching how to do that, which involves a whole nother side of esoterica called entrepreneurship. Now, if you think Kabbalah is complicated, oh boy, wait till you learn about entrepreneurship. That'll really bake your noodle. Oh my God. But it's so fun. It's so fun. It's so great. It's so fun doing what you love. Like, I mean, I didn't have a choice, to be honest. because I don't know how to do anything else but talk about spiritual stuff. So yeah, for me, it wasn't really much of a choice, but reading tarot, talking spiritual stuff. I do have other talents and skills, but I only have about 2 big giant wheelhouses of skills at the same time, because I hyperfixate on things and then I forget things. So at any given moment, I'll be really good at like one thing. And so lately, over the past few years, it's been online business and running Tarot Mysticism Academy and community building and all that fun stuff. So now I'm starting to teach people how to do that, which is so fun. What was the card that fell when I pulled your card? I think it was the Knight of Discs. And I think that was the tech person. Was that the question about the tools? Oh, thank you, Ryan. Yeah, even if you have your own business and you want to grow it, growing a spiritual business is not easy, but there's things you can do that make it easy and make it fun. I would like to know where my business will go. I'm focusing on a few paths and also faced with applying for 3D job again. Want to do what I love. What does that look like? Queen of Discs is, don't be afraid of a 3D job, but find something that is easy for you because it'll take less of your energy. Queen of Discs is very instinctual, very intuitive. So it's something you won't mind doing, and you may enjoy doing it in terms of 3D job world. But it'll be, look for something that just comes naturally to you so it doesn't feel like you're working. That's her big advice. Okay, Geoff, I'm building my own esoteric business without social media, and I reckon this year is mine for the taking. Can I get a card for my best focus for 2025? Oh my God, I'm going to be honest with you. Oh wait, no, this is a different question. Oops. Okay, so Magician Mantra. Your card is, I confused the names. Your card, Magician Mantra, is the star. So for you, Magician, you're working with larger groups of people, marketing, networking, and being okay presenting yourself as a certain way that is not the whole you. That's what the star is saying. I know it sounds ironic. I'm reading into a different aspect of the star. I know star is very much about honesty and authenticity, but also it's about being authentically you, but different aspects of you. Aquarius's energy is kind of interesting and weird like that. I'm building my own esoteric business without social media, and I reckon this year is mine for the taking. Priestess is, yes, the business is going to be very much about word of mouth, and it might, it's an interesting path. There's I used to follow some really interesting musicians in Brooklyn, and the whole idea behind, I was listening to really interesting, kind of weird vaporwave dubstep, really kind of, but not dubstep or vaporwave, like a IDM, intelligent dance music, underground stuff. And some of the musicians just didn't market themselves at all, but that was their marketing. The fact that they weren't anywhere, you had to hear about them. I don't know if that is as viable these days. I'm a big proponent of social media and all that, obviously, but if you can do it without, that's fine. Totally do it. There are ways to do it without, but you have to be very consistent. And yeah. Alessandra, how can I heal my relationship with my creative expression? The Prince of Cups. Going in and letting the expression be the healing, actually. Letting the creative expression be the healing, be what has to happen. And that's what Prince of Cups is all about. After you get past his charming exterior, there's a whole alchemical process going on within, where his journey, his expression, his art, his poetry, his music, they're all precipitations of what's going on in his watery inner work. '11th house, Aquarian moon, nice. Is it time for me to start writing my book? Jay, Yes, but it's like don't have any expectations with that process and like surrender to it and don't be able to this card's telling me like don't be able to say the thing you're afraid to say or the thing that some other people are afraid to say. Um this is the death card, by the way. Trying to connect with my soul's true purpose in 2025. What's the invitation from the cards? Miss Venus, Ace of Cups is opening the heart, being vulnerable, and letting yourself. You don't always have to have the last word, and not everything needs justification. Remember, people operate mostly from feelings and their nervous system more than a lot of times more than their logical thought. So be open to that. Whatever people choose or do, or whatever you do, is happening in here and not always in here, and that's okay. That's a lot of what life is. I want to quit my job and find a new career path that suits me better, but there are too many maybes right now. How can I find some clarity to find where to go next? How to find clarity? Clarity is the way to find clarity is to sit down and think about what type of life would give you would you be salivating over, and is recognizing how many things in your life or your world are not really your desire. Going through that list of like, is what I want really mine or is it somebody else's desire? You got the Ace of Cups too, but in your case, this is allowing your heart to reveal itself to you. Different context. So little tarot lesson, teaching moment, you can draw multiple cards for similar questions, but they can give different context. For you, this Ace of Cups is showing us your own relationship to your heart, not necessarily other people, but kind of going into your heart. And what do I mean by going into your heart? I mean going into the feelings of your body, going into how your body reacts to different ideas and possibilities as you think of something, really feeling it physically. What does it feel like to you? And if it feels juicy and nice and good, then it's good. If it doesn't feel good, then it's not right for you. Should I look for a new love relationship this year? If someone appears in my life, what I think is again big love. Eight of Discs is saying, Rodi Taj, this is saying to stay consistent with what's already going on. But in terms of love, this is a card of letting things run naturally. So I wouldn't necessarily start or push anything. Eight of Discs is saying, let things kind of run on their own and it'll yield good results. Is that the small Thoth? I always thought this was the regular size Thoth, and I thought this Thoth over here was like the big Thoth. But some people might think this is the normal size and this is the small one. Entering the workforce again after years of being unemployed, will I find success in employment? Nine of Swords is showing me a rocky road to start. So Nine of Swords is just being aware of the energies around whatever you're looking at in terms of businesses and opportunities and recognizing when something is toxic and poisonous and getting out of that. So proceed with caution. And yeah, I mean, look at it like, yeah, you might be interviewing for positions, but you're also interviewing them a bit, to just get the vibe of things. All right, so I'm gonna wrap up. One more plug: Tarot Mysticism Academy. Tarot Mysticism, two different plugs: Tarot Mysticism Academy, Tarot Mysticism, the psycho-spiritual technology of the Thoth Tarot, available. Yeah, super excited for that. Asking everyone to order today, because today is the day I want to boost those Amazon rankings. Because I'm a Capricorn, and we love a good attachment. We love a good high mountain goal to climb up. Yeah. Oh, Wednesday, 2 days from today, we're having a book release party. So 11 a.m. Eastern time, Wednesday, I'm going to be going live. Everyone that is present, like in the live, like in this chat area, I'm going to do a free random free giveaway. Free giveaway. I've never done one of these before, so I can't even say it. We're doing a free giveaway, so your chance to win a free copy of the book. And we'll do some other things. I'll read from the book, give another little class, do some more readings, chat, talk about other stuff. Yeah, thank you all so much for your support. I was like, when I first I was kind of hiding the book thing for a while until like a month ago, and then when I released the information, so much support. Everyone like getting the book, and I was like super. It was so amazing. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, so definitely order it today if you haven't yet. Today's the day I'm really trying to push to get most of the orders in. But even like I like thank you all for being interested in this stuff. It really is amazing. Like I'm really excited. The book again, it took 6 years, not 6 straight years, but three hyperfixations within 6 years, and it was a lot, and it brings together a lot of stuff, and it's really great that people are interested in that, and yeah, Tower Mysticism Academy continues to grow. I have a wonderful team: Ryan, Luigi, Melissa helping me out, Deb helping me out, and we have a lot of stuff with TMA. We are doing a migration and kind of re-editing. Ryan is helping me migrate the school onto a new platform and refine a lot of the courses. So we're going to do some more stuff in 2025 in terms of courses and on all the 3 planes. So now we have a 3-plane model that you'll learn about in the book, 3-paradigm model, and that's kind of what the curriculum is based on now. So if anyone wants to really learn this stuff in terms of divination, reading the cards, growing your confidence, growing your intuition, come in and apply and meet with me, and we'll chat. I started a new sort of mastermind for this year, where it's kind of like a little bit different than the mastermind I started last year, but it's similar because I've just been so inspired by my mastermind members, and it's for people that want to build spiritual businesses, people that want to become professional tarot readers, coaches, spiritual service providers, teachers, all of the above. And it's really fun. It's really cool. It's just I love working on that level where I'm working with people that are like having that level of impact. It's really exciting to see. It's just it's like a whole nother level of growth, because it's like once you have the knowledge, or you have even if whatever knowledge you like, if you have something to offer, for a lot of people it's hard to get out there into the world and to offer it and to present it and to not only that, but make it a business, make it something sustainable. But for me, it's been the best thing I ever did, because now I don't really work a day in my life. That's a lie. I work my ass off, but it's not really work. It is work, but it's also it's so worth it. It's like it's building something, you know? Like when you put your heart and soul into something. I mean, I meet people so often that they're like at a 9-to-5 job that they hate, and it's just like they're giving so much time and energy to something that it's not like really theirs, and they have all these things to give, all this knowledge, this intuition, these skills, these insights, and yeah, it's so fun to make that a reality. Well, that's a good question, Alyssa. Can I do TMA just with my phone, or do I need a computer? I've had students that have had their whole TMA experience on their smartphone. I think you need a smartphone because there will be videos and ebooks to download, but Zoom calls, but you can all do it on a smartphone. Yeah, I've had people do that. I've had people like people traveling the world and like doing TMA on their smartphone as they're in like different cities and different places. And yeah. All right. So much love, everyone. Thank you so much for your support. I look forward to seeing as many of you as I can on Wednesday for the official YouTube book release party at 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll have some more fun. My students, I'm so excited to see you soon for our upcoming Tower Mysticism seminar. My mastermind, I'm excited to see you soon. We're going to get more into the business stuff. Yeah, thank you all so much for everything. It really means a lot. Have an amazing new year, and so much love. I'll see you in the next wormhole.